Year 2014, March, Crimea. The peninsula was under the control of the armed persons wearing no insignia. The situation was tough. The tension among people was growing.
Crimea is Ukraine.
The occupants were actively preparing for a pseudo-referendum. There were more than 1,000 polling stations, hundreds of journalists, 1.5 million ballots with 2 questions in Russian, Ukrainian and Crimean Tatar languages. The main question was, which country should Crimea be a part of, the Russian Federation or Ukraine?
Variant number 1 and again number 1.
The 2014 fake referendum in Crimea was the beginning of the occupation of the peninsula. However, Russia calls it the free expression of the will of the Crimean residents, despite the fact that the voting took place under the conditions of the military occupation of the peninsula. In fact, at gunpoint. 7 years have already passed, and for all these years Ukraine has been trying to restore its integrity and sovereignty. Civilized countries didn't recognize the results of the pseudo-referendum. President of Ukraine Volodymyr Zelensky called the Russian so-called referendum in Crimea a fake and said that the Ukrainian authorities are putting all efforts to regain control over the peninsula. 7 years ago, Russia held a fake referendum in Crimea. For the first time since the beginning of the occupation, Ukraine has prepared a strategy for the occupation and reintegration of the peninsula. We unite the world within the Crimean platform to return Ukrainian to Ukraine. Crimea is Ukraine. It is the Crimean platform that is planned to be the first step on the way home for Crimea. The representatives of Russia will also be invited to the discussion. However, the Ukrainian Foreign Ministry has no hopes for their consent.
The position of the world today is consolidated and powerful. This is non-recognition of the status quo in Crimea. Everyone said that Russia is an occupying country. All the consequences of the occupation of the peninsula over the past 7 years are an offense and violation of international law. In fact, the Crimean platform, being a Ukrainian initiative, is being worked out today. Its aim is to consolidate and search for the answers to the questions we've been putting for 7 years already.
The Kremlin rejects accusations of the violent seizure of Crimea. The Russian authorities don't take into account the obvious doubtful aspects of this fake referendum, and those who voiced them are called provocateurs and are persecuted. Political persecutions and mass arrests. Over the past 7 years of occupation, Russia has turned the peninsula into a military base. Repressions against those opposing the occupation authorities continue. Searches in the houses of Crimean Tatars do not stop. 80 Crimeans have been convicted, arrested or put under investigation in the occupied Crimea on fabricated charges of terrorism. Reported by Vadim Kramer, UATV News.